Hi everyone, welcome to another of my video. So today we'll be starting a brand new sketchbook, and the idea here is to paint different type of trees. So I've done a little bit of research here on this other sketchbook on different type of trees. So here I have different type of trees and I've tried to sketch them out to see the differences. I've written also how tall they are to be able to show their specificities in the sketchbook I will be painting on. And I've also tried some watercolor sketches of those. So here I've tried to do with some just black line art and a little bit of like ink and watercolor and a little bit of watercolor to, you know, find the shapes, find the colors and see how it could look like. And my plan today is to do a few of one in this sketchbook here. So it's a brand new sketchbook. I've never used it actually, even for watercolors. So we'll just leave the first pages for like kind of a title and table of content. And I will be using it in this portrait mode, and I will be drawing several trees here. So I want to start with the baobab, and I will be just finding a reference on the internet, and I will be doing it with ink and watercolors because I really like watercolors. Actually, I've started to do art with watercolors, and in the last couple weeks I've focused a lot of improving in other type of arts, but I haven't done a lot of watercolors, so I want to go back to this. I will just first lightly sketch it out to know how it will be looking. Okay, and now I'm using my fine liners, so I have a 0.5, a 0.7, 0.1 and a brush here. I will just start with the 0.5. And I try to put a lot of details with the line art directly and just use the watercolor for some kind of accent or something. It's not a full watercolor illustration, even if I really like doing full watercolor illustrations too. For this sketchbook I want to do more in ink and watercolors. So let's see how it turns out. And I try to keep it a little bit sketchy because I really like when you have like sketchy ink and then watercolors on top. Gives a really nice vibe, I feel. That's what I'm trying to capture here. And to really have the main characteristics of the tree so that you can say, okay, it's a baobab when you see the drawing. I want to be like a kind of a reference of several type of trees with their what they look like, what is their height, the type of leaves they have, and all those stuff I will try to put on the other page. But you know, really have a kind of reference book for different trees and see how it looks like. Okay, so that's it for the sketch, I think. I will just erase whatever pencil is left using my kneaded eraser here. Moving on now to the color. So I'll be starting with kind of a white. I think I will use 8 brush. And I have my clean water here, and the color of the leaves is quite dark, so I will be using some sap green and mixing it with some paint gray to have a kind of dark bluish green, like that. And first I'm just gonna see how the paper reacts first, and just trying to find the shape of the foliage, because the shape of the foliage is kind of specific to each tree, so you have to be very mindful of that when you're painting it, to make sure that you're not making the tree look like something else. So put it in the right place. And first I'm doing the first layer, and then I will put all the shadows and stuff in it afterwards. And I can also add some more lines afterwards if I see that it needs some more branches or some more details. So this is the first pass. Just seeing how it goes, and then I see what it needs to be more clean. Okay, so you really have a lot of space between the tree and the rest of it. And then I will just put a little bit of background, so using a wash of green just here, showing that it's standing on something and it's not standing, like it's not floating in the air. So I'm just putting a little bit of green here and there, and I should have put the blue first, but well. Here, and I'm using this white brush here just to put some blue here, because it's sitting next to some water, so I just want to show this in the painting too. So I'm not going detailed here because I want really to keep it sketchy. So I just want to give the feeling that there is something. I don't want it to be really precise on where it is standing and what do you find in the background or all this stuff. I just want to have some light washes, show that it's standing on something, but that's all. I'm not doing a real background, yes, in a way. So I'm using a lot of wet on wet here. Okay, so that will be enough for the background. And I think I will just put a splash of blue for the sky, but not everywhere, I'm just waiting. The paper is answering pretty nice to watercolor. I should have tapped it down, but that's a bit too late now. And I'm just putting kind of a splash of blue to figure the blue of the sky. So I think it would be quite hard to have some nice washes of water on this paper. So it really depends on the quality of paper here to be able to have some smooth washes of color, but it seems to be drying pretty fast, the paper. It could also be because of the weather, but anyway, it's being a bit blotchy. So I will just embrace that and go with this kind of sketchy look that it gives. Okay, so that's it for the background. I don't want to get too overboard. I'm just trying to have a smooth gradient into nothingness and not a harsh differentiation. Okay, seems pretty nice. I will just wait for this to dry a little bit before continuing to work on this. Okay, so I'm back now, and now I will work a bit on the tree, and the tree has this really kind of gold brown color, which is really nice, and I want to try to capture that. So we'll start with a light wash of brown like this. And same, I don't want it to be perfect because I want it to stay kind of sketchy. So I'm just working really light and just throwing some colors in. And then I will be using yellow ochre, I think, mixed with this nice brown, and just add some highlights of gold in this tree, and it's all going very up and down, so you can see that the trunk is very smooth because all the shadows are really going straight. And now I'm using the same color but darkened up to put some of the shadows to the sides and here also, like that. Okay, and then I'm using the same color for the branches because they are kind of dark compared to the rest of the trunk. I'm just using a clean brush here to smooth out the gradient here. And then I'm switching to a smaller brush to go inside the branches, so using this dark brown color for the branch. Also trying to capture some of the variation of the tree here. Okay, I'm putting a little bit of this where I've put these marks on the trunk to make them a little bit more organic and not only ink. And also changing my colors a lot, so adding a little bit of dark, putting a little bit more brown, putting a little bit more yellow, just to keep changing slightly the hue all the time and make it look more like a tree, like something organic and not as something created, like something flat. Okay, so I think that's it for the trunk. Now I will be working also on the foliage, so doing a little bit of a darker foliage here and there, just to show where the light is coming from and to give more of a 3D aspect to this tree, especially when it's near the branches, making it look darker, or when it's in the background. And it helps define the shape also of the foliage to do that. So going around the shapes, and I will also do a kind of lighter version of this green with a little bit of yellow to show where the light is hitting, because there are some parts that are more in the light and I want a little bit more variation for those. Okay. So not getting overboard. And now going again on this trunk and really darkening some of the parts because it stays a little bit too, it lacks a bit of contrast, I feel. So going really darker in some of those branches and some of those details. And it's always hard to go dark because it kind of creates an imbalance when you're going darker, but then when you put it to all the place where it should be darker, it really comes together. So you have to be brave to get darker, but then it really pays off. Okay, so I think that's all for my baobab. I'll just go back to my 0.5 and add some branches here and there just to connect some of those shapes here. Okay, so that's it for this one. Okay, so for the bamboos, Let's go to the next page. Okay, for the bamboos, I have a reference where the photo is taken from the ground and it's the bamboos going high up in the clouds, and it's pretty nice. So I try to use this, and I will just start this time by putting a little bit of atmosphere to the page. So putting a really light yellowish greenish to the page to kind of set the atmosphere. So really something light. Have to work fast before it all gets dry again. A little bit more yellow at the top, a little bit more green at the bottom. Okay, so here is the first layer, and I wait for this to dry. Okay, so I've just sketched out the different bamboos and it was not that easy. So yeah, it looks a bit messy, but I hope that with the color it will kind of come together. So I will just start with reinforcing the light green at the top to show the foliage at the top, and it kind of go darker as we go down. So I'll try to capture that too. And it goes a little bit in every direction like that. And then as we get down, there is less light hitting this, so it gets a little bit darker. So I try to see if I can capture that and try not to put too much green on the bigger trunks to keep them, because it's kind of white, light gray, so keep them this color. And for those in the background, I can have them a little bit more on the green side and put the color on top. I think it's not an issue. Okay, I think that kind of works for the background. I try to keep some areas very light to show that there is still some light going through this forest of bamboos. And I also tried to have some really dark areas to show that, okay, the light doesn't go everywhere. And try to follow either the kind of foliage movement, so doing some kind of circles, or some more bamboo movement, so going in straight lines to also define shapes of bamboos while doing this. Okay, so this being done, we have kind of a background here. And now I will work on the trunks. So they are kind of a light gray, so I will just start with very light wash of gray and work from there. So here I have two bamboos that are not on the real foreground, so I will try to go darker where they kind of meet with the bamboos in the foreground. Now what I will also do is take a little bit of this gray, a little bit of a dark green, a dark brown, to kind of mutate this gray less on the blue side. And then I will take a smaller brush and draw a line on the right part of the trunk with this to show that they're in the shadow and to give them more of a round vibe, to show that they are 3D objects again. And like I was saying, I will also use this color for some of those trees in the background, just to give them a little bit of texture and to show that those are also, all those dark lines are also tree. So we use this in the background too, just doing some lines going up the sky like that. Okay. Okay, so that's it for the bamboos. It's really sketchy, but it's the vibe I'm going with, so I like it this way. And I leave this to dry and then move on to, I think I will do an olive tree, and that will be the end for today's. Okay, so here is the final olive tree, and then you have here the baobab, the first one I've did, and the bamboo. So there's a helicopter going over, 2 helicopters actually. Yeah, so here are the 3 trees I've watercolored today, so watercolor in ink. Thank you for watching, and if you want to see more of them, just let me know in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe, and see you in the next video. Bye!